There was a time when pro wrestlers would never admit they were wrestling fans. You didn't want to be a mark. But now, even the biggest stars in the business avidly watched as a kid, and these performers were their inspirations. When AJ Lee came back to Raw in September, she had been retired for over 10 years. She needed to introduce herself to fans who weren't watching back in 2015, so she called herself your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. That's not just bragging. The former three-time Divas champion inspired lots of girls who were watching WWE in the early 2010s to get into the business themselves. One of those is former NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez. The two are so close now, Perez jokingly refers to Lee as Mom. Following Lee's return, Perez recreated a photo backstage from when Perez met Lee as a little girl. She's been adamant about wanting a match with Lee. As a, quote, little 4'0" tomboy Latina, Perez saw herself in Lee and realized she could follow in her footsteps.
I need to start now because by the time maybe I'm like 18, 19, I can be there.
Former NXT star Cora Jade, now known as Elena Black on the independent scene, is also a huge AJ Lee fan. She even cosplayed as her during a Halloween Battle Royal in October 2022. Evolve's Zeta Steele likewise cites Lee as her inspiration. Steele referred to Lee as her Lita, referencing the woman who famously inspired Lee to get in the ring. Lee once said, "I remember when I was that girl crying because I was so excited to finally meet Lita. To have girls crying over me is surreal." Love him or hate him, it's hard to deny that Lee's husband CM Punk blazed his own trail in pro wrestling. After making his name in NWA Mid-South, TNA, and Ring of Honor in the early 2000s, Punk started working up the WWE ladder in 2005. His ability on the mic and in-ring charisma made him undeniable. Punk's influence became part of his feud with MJF during his run in AEW, which started in 2021. MJF told Punk to his face that he had broken his heart by walking out on WWE after the 2014 Royal Rumble. There was even photographic proof showing a photo of MJF meeting Punk as a kid. Another AEW star, Adam Cole, also credits Punk for making him believe he could make it as a wrestler by opening him up to the world of independent wrestling. So when Punk came to AEW,
the fan in me was so excited to get the chance to get in there with him.
On the WWE side of things, former Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley has said CM Punk was one WWE star whom she idolized growing up in Australia. She said she loved listening to Punk cut promos. Sting had a very limited run in WWE, but for fans who watched WCW and TNA, he was absolutely the icon. When the Stinger came to AEW in 2020, he spent much of his run teamed up with Darby Allin, who clearly has immense respect for the Stinger. Allin has praised Sting as a mentor and said teaming with him was an honor. Allin also said that he felt like their friendship outside the ring was stronger than their bond inside it. Cody Rhodes has also said that Sting was one of his childhood favorites. He told WWE.com in May 2014 that he grew up a WCW guy and that the promotion's crowning achievement was Sting's run where he haunted the NWO without saying a word. Rhodes revealed he was meant to wrestle Sting in AEW before he left the company in February 2022 to return to WWE. Another WCW kid growing up was Charlotte Flair. While she, of course, supported her father Rick, she has said she also loved Sting, one of Rick's biggest rivals. If you're wondering who made a young CM Punk fall in love with wrestling, look no further than Bret the Hitman Hart. Punk has worn black and pink gear on multiple occasions to honor the Hitman, who he has called the Wayne Gretzky of pro wrestling.
Bret's a mentor of mine. I can text him right now and ask him what he thinks of, what's going on.
Punk has said Hart is the measuring stick that all other wrestlers should hold themselves to. When he was still in AEW, Punk noted he hated that the Hitman's career was cut short, calling it a tragedy, and said he'd give up his own opportunity at a second chance at wrestling to give it to Hart. He even dedicated his return match to Hart. Roman Reigns has also called Hart his childhood inspiration. In an interview with ESPN, Reigns called Hart a journeyman who could put in 20 to 30 minutes of work in the ring every night. Hart's niece, Natalia, has even commented on how many times she has heard Reigns say that her uncle made him want to become a wrestler. Sami Zayn is another big Bret fan. In an interview, he wondered why Hart's name wasn't the first that comes up when people talk about the best. One of the stars who has always professed her admiration for Eddie Guerrero is AEW's Mercedes Moné. Moné often uses moves made popular in the ring by Guerrero, including the Three Amigos suplexes. Moné wrote about her love for Guerrero in a 2024 edition of her Moné Mag newsletter, where she called him a beacon of hope, an embodiment of passion, and a source of inspiration. Monet wrote that he ignited a spark within her when she was just 10 years old. She called Guerrero's spirit her guiding light, and even explained how she incorporated his lie, cheat, steal philosophy into her life in positive ways.
Always Eddie Guerrero, so always watch Eddie versus Ray, and it's magic. And then I'm like, I want to do that.
Raquel Rodriguez also credits Guerrero for helping her in the industry. She said that she has incorporated some of Guerrero's style and attitude into her own character. TNA wrestler Chris Bay has likewise said that Guerrero is one of the reasons he wanted to become a professional wrestler. He told the Arm Drag Takedown podcast that when he watched Guerrero win the then WWE Championship, he realized he wanted to give that feeling to the world when fans watched him perform. Stone Cold Steve Austin had a long wrestling career, but his time at the top of WWE was relatively brief compared to other top guys, 6 years at most. His impact was huge nonetheless. He was on top when arguably wrestling was the most popular it's ever been, and he inspired a lot of wrestlers to come. One of those was the man who brought him out of retirement at WrestleMania 38 for a no-holds-barred match, Kevin Owens. Owens put Austin at the top of his top 3 wrestlers of all time and uses the Stone Cold Stunner as one of his finishers. Owens recalled actually meeting Austin at an airport in 2005, well before Owens' time in WWE. He explained that Austin gave him the best piece of advice he had ever received: keep running your mouth. Owens said he took the advice to heart and just kept talking. It's helped him reach the heights he's achieved. Chyna's entire stint in the WWE was only 4 years, from 1997 to 2001. She also sadly died far too young at the age of 46 in 2016, yet her legacy lives on through all the workers she inspired. Lisa Marie Varon, who was Victoria in WWE, credits Chyna for directly getting her into the business. Chyna came to the Crunch Fitness where Varon worked, told her she had a great look for wrestling, and helped her apply to WWE. Rhea Ripley is often compared to Chyna. She told The Ringer in 2024 that Paul Triple H Levesque, who worked very closely with Chyna and dated her for a while, often makes the comparison. Ripley also said her career followed a Chyna-like path naturally. She credited Chyna for influencing her role in Judgment Day because Chyna paved the way for women to get in the ring with men.
She really did open up so much for women.
Jade Cargill has also recalled growing up watching Chyna. Cargill said that watching Chyna empowered her and made her think that her own muscles looked great. Raquel Rodriguez said on the Short and to the Point podcast that Chyna proved that women could compete with men in the ring. She called her inspiring and said watching her growing up was helpful, as she was always playing sports against boys. In his WWE career spanning more than 30 years, The Undertaker inspired a whole lot of wrestlers through the TV screen. One was former NXT North American champion Ricky Saints, who called the Dead Man his favorite wrestler of all time. But The Undertaker has been an influence in other ways too. Taker has always been known as a locker room leader, and Drew McIntyre revealed in September 2022 that The Undertaker was assigned to be his mentor in his early days in the business. McIntyre said The Undertaker was an awesome teacher. The late Bray Wyatt's character was inspired by The Undertaker, who was also like a mentor to the late star. The pair feuded in 2015 in a clash of WWE's spookiest, darkest characters, and the feud culminated in a match at WrestleMania 31. Fans even got to witness a special moment between them on Raw in January 2023, when Undertaker whispered some words of validation the crowd couldn't hear into Wyatt's ear in the ring. Taker has spoken about how much he likes some of the younger talents in WWE. He said that he believes Wyatt should have broken his WrestleMania streak and has also praised McIntyre as well as Gunther. He said he would have loved to see his Undertaker character wrestle the ring general. The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, is another 90s-era star who is directly mentoring the up-and-comers of today. He's WWE's Senior Vice President of Talent Development and oversees creative in NXT. Lots of performers who graduated to the main roster long before Michaels' time at NXT call him a fave, though. Stone Cold superfan Kevin Owens admitted that Michaels was his first favorite wrestler growing up, and the reason he wanted to get into wrestling in the first place. Owens said it's helped his own game to be able to talk to a guy he idolized about everything from life to in-ring philosophy. Seth Rollins has also said that it was Michaels who inspired him to become a wrestler. He said Michaels has been his favorite wrestler since he was 10 or 11 years old. While most wrestlers of the time looked like Hulk Hogan, seeing the leaner Michaels made Rollins realize getting in the ring was achievable. Kofi Kingston has mentioned that Michaels is his favorite because he was at the top of his game for almost 4 decades. Kingston gushed to WWE.com in 2014 that he had never seen a bad Michaels match. He added that Michaels was someone who could wrestle anyone regardless of their size. Johnny Gargano is yet another former NXT star who was inspired by the showstopper to get into the business. In 2021, he revealed that as a kid, he'd dance around to Michaels' theme song daily, dress like him for Halloween, and even had Shawn Michaels themed birthday parties. He called working with Michaels in NXT a dream come true.
My parents are probably sick of the song Sexy Boy by now.
Though he does most of his electrifying on the big screen now, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had a massive impact in his full-time wrestling career from 1996 to 2004, and in his occasional appearances in matches since then. One of his biggest fans is AEW star Ricochet, who has said that The Rock's charisma and presence are just unmatched. In 2016, Ricochet told Jim Ross on The Ross Report that The Rock became an inspiration to him alongside Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio. He said he had been the biggest fan of The Rock ever since WrestleMania 15, where the Great One lost to Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWF Championship. Montez Ford is also a big fan of The Rock, to the point he revealed he used to write his Ks like The Rock's signature back in the day. Ford said he even loved the way The Rock dressed. Johnson gave Ford a shout-out on his Instagram account and said that he respected his passion. Mia Yim once recounted a time where she met The Rock backstage and through tears told him that he changed her life. He was the reason she started watching wrestling in the first place. She said he took the time to listen to her and give her some advice, and that she was a bigger fan because of it. Roxanne Perez was also a big fan of The Rock as a kid, but she admitted that she was a fan of his movies first, before she even knew what professional wrestling was.